Yeah, okay, so one more Trump thing that we need to talk about. So other stuff he wants to do is he wants to eliminate you guys have an estate tax in the United States. I didn't know that. Like in Canada, we don't have that. So he wants to eliminate the estate tax. Or it's the death tax, right? Is that what it's called? And so I didn't know this. But if you have assets of more than $1 million when you die, they get taxed at 40%. 40%. In Canada, there's none of that. You just if you grew a $10 million, assets like a house and cars worth $10 million, those all go to your kids. For the most part, you get a little bit of tax, I think, but it's like negligible. So he wants to eliminate the estate tax, which I think everyone kind of agrees with, right, on both parties, for the most part. Probably good. Some people think that'll create even more income inequality. It might, but I don't know. I don't think that the government handles those estate taxes that well. Based on what I was able to research, a lot of it just goes to waste and goes freaking nowhere. So he wants to eliminate the estate tax. Everyone kind of likes that. He wants, so this is kind of cool too. This is for everyday people. This will be big if you know how to invest. So capital gains and dividends. So stock market stuff, and if you sell your house and stuff like that. That's what capital gains are. Capital gains, and dividends. 0% tax. For those of you earning less than $50,000 a year, is it less than $50,000? Let's see. Yeah, under $50,000 a year, you have no tax on any of those. Oh, that's greater than dummy. So that's very cool for the average person. I know most people are struggling to get by. The middle class in the United States is not doing too well. But if you are invested in anything in the stock market for your future, that is freaking fantastic. That could save you, with the course of your lifetime, thousands and thousands of dollars. More than that, if you're above, I guess, middle class, it'll only be thousands. But so 0% tax on capital gains and dividends for the average person. Quite good. Now, what's the other one? So yeah, he's taxing, it's 20% tax on capital gains if you earn $150,000 a year or more. I'm not even going to write that. That's just pretty much the rich will be saving money on capital gains as well. So, which is good. I wish, honestly, if Trump gets elected, I kind of wish I'd move to the States. Like, just for the economic plan, no taxes, essentially. This is what Trump wants, right? Lowering taxes. He wants to bring in the money into the United States. So, for example, if he gets in, I'll want to move. See, this plan is working on me. I'll want to move there to pay less tax. Now, saying that, he has a lot of problems, right? He's freaking against abortion, marijuana, and Muslims and Mexicans, and wants to build the wall, right? He wants to build the wall, but I don't like a lot of his views, but in terms of his economic plan, it's going well so far, from what I've explained. I'll talk about some of the drawbacks. So, one more thing is he wants to cut out tax loopholes for speculators and people who don't. Okay, so there's these people. They invest their money, like Nick Hanauer. He's done a TED Talk. He's one of the very few socialist rich people in the world. So essentially, what a lot of rich people do is instead of spending their money on let's just say someone earns $1,000 times more than the average person, okay? They don't buy 1,000 times more pairs of pants. This is part of Nick Hanauer's TED Talk. They don't buy 1,000 more pairs of pants. What they do with that money is they invest it in some random, trust fund or ETF or some random thing that doesn't create any jobs, like it would if they invested it in 1,000 pairs of pants. So essentially, what Donald Trump wants to do is he wants to cut out those loopholes for the people that want to do that. So they want to, I guess he'll kind of increase taxes on those in a way. And people who just want to invest their money in a way that creates no jobs for Americans. Quite interesting. And so it's going to hit Wall Street people pretty hard. He wants to limit loopholes for speculators, for people that make their money on Wall Street. Quite interesting. So what are the results of all of this that I mentioned? What if Donald Trump gets in? What if all of this comes into action? What's going to happen? What if all this tax stuff that I just mentioned happens? It's actually quite interesting. And especially when we compare it to Bernie's, which we're going to be doing. Because even though Trump's economic plan actually seems very good to me. I like it. There are certain cases where it could be completely horrible for the entire system. So essentially what's going to happen is it's going to boost consumer spending because you're not getting taxed as much. So boost consumer spending, which is good for the economy, right? I mentioned before, 70% of the American economy comes from the amount of consumer spending. If everyone saved their money, then the economy would fall, right? If no one spent their money, the American economy would collapse. So the results, I already mentioned, he wants to bring the money back from overseas with that essentially 0% corporate tax, right? It's not 0%, temporarily 5%, I should say. Cayman Islands, I mentioned that, has 0% corporate tax. Oh yeah, so I forgot to talk about that. There is okay, so how do people avoid corporate tax? So let's just say a company like Apple wants to make a deal with Intel or something like that, right? We'll just say Intel. So instead of doing that deal in the United States, what they'll do is they'll open up an account in the Cayman Islands, and they will do their deal in the Cayman Islands. And they will keep their money there where they don't have to pay tax on their deal that they just did. Okay? And so what's kind of funny is that there's this one business headquarters office, which is like, it has, I don't know, I'd say 500 rooms in it. It's a decent sized building, but not massive. And in that like 500 room building, they have 20,000 registered businesses in that one building, which is essentially illegal. Barack Obama, when Barack Obama was running for office, actually, he mentioned that it's called the Uglanda House, or something like that, like the Uglanda House. I don't even have it in my notes here. But so essentially what happens is that if they have that business office there, they don't have to pay corporate tax on any transactions or any income. So I just thought I'd mention that. Anyways, that was just a really, really random tangent that I thought was interesting. That's how people avoid taxes. They just do deals in different countries. It's really, really sucks for the American economy, but hopefully Trump would fix that if he gets elected. So he wants to bring the corporate money back. So essentially, he'll hopefully increase the taxable income, I guess. How should we word this? Increase we'll just say amount of money. Well, I don't know. How should we say this? Taxable. I think we should say taxable income, right? Increase the taxable income in the United States by 2 to 10 trillion. So this is from, remember, the corporate money that I said would theoretically be brought back. So he's going to, it's taxable. God damn it. So increase the entire pool of taxable income in the American economy by about $2 to $10 trillion. So even though he's cutting tax rates, it could increase the total amount of government money that they bring in. So let's see. His plan is very like capitalistic, like capitalistic, if that's a word. It's essentially, it's complete opposite of Bernie Sanders. It's still like the American way. It's still like kind of like fend for yourself. You don't really have too much of a social net. If you work hard, you can be rich. If you work hard, you can be rich, right? That's not really true. But you can be rich if you have the right opportunity. That's what the American economy is. If you have the right timing, if you're born with into the right family, if you work hard, if you're smart, if you have good timing with all of your investments, you can be rich. That's what it means. So that's what Trump's plan still is, right? You can still live the American dream if you vote Trump in. And so his plan is more of trying to increase the standard of living more than the quality of life. So by bringing all this money back into the United States, it's going to hopefully increase the amount of jobs, hopefully. It's going to increase freaking innovation. People are going to want to work. People are going to want a piece of this money, right? People are going to want a piece of this money. So hopefully it'll increase the standard of living, saying that it might not make everyone happier, but the economy will be fine. And so essentially, he's trying to increase tax revenue by making the pool of taxable income greater. All right? So he's trying to grow the economy. Essentially, that's what he wants to do. By cutting taxes. All right? Now we have to talk about Bernie now. I ranted about Trump for a very long time. Gotta mention my man Bernie. Because, oh boy, he's certainly, all the young people certainly like him. I do too. I like Bernie. If I were in the United States, I don't know if I would vote for anyone, because I think that a lot, as much as I hate Trump, like a lot of his views, I still like some of his plans. I think that he could be better to get the American, dream going again. He might be the best person for president, but saying that, a lot of his other views are completely horrific. And Bernie is the opposite. His economic plan, not great, which I'll explain why. But a lot of his other stuff is fantastic.